this program is supported by Howard University College of Pharmacy, and I know our Dean Ranti Akiyode, truly supports the work that we're doing through this partnership. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce Dr. Earl Etienne. He is, I would say, the mastermind behind this fellowship program. He envisioned it back in, I would say, 2010, and it kicked off in 2012. So he's been doing a ton of work making sure that we have professional training that are high caliber, both at the Howard end and as well as the Amgen end for fellows. He sends his regards. He's remiss that he's not here, but he's very proud of the work that's happening here today. And, I am the project coordinator for the fellowship program. So I'm a pharmacist by training. I've been in your shoes before as well, for the current fellows as well as candidates, because I completed a residency at BMS through the FAMU BMS residency program. And I'm truly passionate about this work because I have a lot of value to share with the incoming fellows. I love to support people development. So the current fellows, helping to organize the activities that we're doing, ensuring that our partnerships are strong, ensuring that we have professional development opportunities that are high caliber, and so on. So I'm truly glad to be here with you all today. And the Howard University College of Pharmacy is supported by many staff. So you don't see their pictures here, but we have a ton of people on the back end that work in different capacities to ensure that this program is solid. So I want to thank you and welcome you to this open house. And with that, I'll pass it back to Heather.
Thank you, Dr. Elijah Day. Appreciate that. Okay, so the next 3 slides, we're going to present those 3 Amgen functions I mentioned, the Amgen leaders dedicated to supporting the program, and the current fellows who are at Amgen. So this first slide, again, I'm mentioning regulatory affairs, one of 3 functions offering opportunities. Mark Tazy is here. We also have Shonda Walton, and the 4 fellows who are currently participating in our functions program, Desianne, Erica, Jessica, and Gabrielle. The next function I'll highlight is our Amgen Global Medical Affairs. And I see that Jude Nang is on. Vicky Lowe, who you'll hear from, will also be joined later by Diana. Gabrielle Lake, Arinze, and Chanel are also on today. So you hear those voices come out as well as we get further into this session. And then our third function is the Global Patient Safety. And I see that Sarah McGill is here, as well as William Nampasso. So just welcome to all of them, and you will be hearing more from them and their voices as we proceed. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mark. It's really my pleasure to do that. He, as I mentioned, Senior Vice President of our Global Regulatory Affairs and Strategy function. Mark has been with Amgen for 10 years and is a stalwart supporter of this program. He immediately jumped in on the opportunity to develop this partnership with Howard and continues to support ways to maximize the value of the program for fellows. Mark is going to share his perspective on what it's like to be at Amgen and in regulatory, and he has had a highly successful career in regulatory affairs, and I'm using his words. He lives for continuously finding ways to advance our products through the pipeline he lives for. So that's what gets him out of bed every day. So Mark, thank you for being with us. I'm really excited to hear your perspective on Amgen and regulatory, and I turn over the virtual stage.
Great, thank you so much. So welcome everyone. I think this is our 3rd open house that we've had with the Amgen Howard Fellowship Program. It's great to see so many people. I think the first time we had this, we had a handful of people that participated in the open house, and it's great to see it grow. And it's with the partnership of Drs. Etienne and Elijah Day that have really helped us progress this. We originally started with regulatory and medical. We expanded it to safety, and the last time, and it continues to grow. And we've been so impressed by the candidates that we get from the Howard Fellowship that have applied, who've actually then actually joined us in the fellowship. Their experience has been great in terms of being able to then jump into our product teams and actually help assist and get their hands involved in everything we do. And that's a real testament to the quality of the program that has been developed there at Howard University. So thank you so much. This summer we kicked off our 2023 to 2025 program. We welcomed in 4 new fellows, and that gives us a total of 8 fellows currently on board across Amgen functions, the 3 functions that you've heard about earlier. You can look forward to more on more specifics from those fellows later in the session. I'm excited to hear from them also. I'm going to stay and listen to that and see how they've felt they've experienced here. But from my perspective, the fellows at Amgen that we bring into the organization, they become an integral part of our teams, and they contribute right away to getting our drugs to our patients, getting our physicians and medical clinicians around the world updated in the technologies, and really helping in getting safety reporting to health authorities around the world, and also updated in our label. Our current fellows that have helped us in regulatory, they've helped us prepare for FDA meetings. They've drafted strategic regulatory plans for us, and they've also helped us prepare for a recent advisory committee at the FDA. In safety, the fellows have supported safety assessments, including evaluating cases and doing literature searches for us, and authoring safety-related quality documents. So contribute from very early on into our teams. And finally, in medical, where it's key that we communicate the science of our key therapeutic products across various channels to the scientific community. And the fellows that come from Howard have helped us do that a great deal. So thanks to all the current fellows, but it also gives you insight into the types of work and experiences that you'll have as a fellow at Amgen. At Amgen, we also focus on innovation. It's a critical part of what we do day to day. We look at innovative approaches to how we get our medicines to our patients. That includes how we interact with health authorities. It includes how we communicate from both medical and safety perspective about our products. We are in the forefront, and we're actually leading a lot of areas in how we use generative AI and other machine learning tools to accomplish those goals. We also use other cutting edge technologies, and I think we're on the tip of the spear in a lot of these new ways of working with these innovations. And we look forward to having the new fellows coming on board to be part of this exhilarating challenge and how we're going to use innovative approaches in the future. So as you can hear earlier, it gets me up in the morning knowing that we can serve more patients at Amgen as we get our drugs approved and moving forward. And I'm really passionate about the work here, and the people are fantastic. And I'm excited that you're considering joining us for this journey as we continue to move forward. So with those few words, what I'd like to do is let the team share more information about Amgen and the fellows and the fellowship program. But more importantly, it'd be great to hear from our current fellows and share their experiences that we're having with Amgen. So with that, I will turn it over to the team. But if there's any questions at all that I can help with, I'm going to stay through the end and be here for those questions.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Look forward to that. So we will get to that team that we're talking about, but I'll provide that brief overview I promised. So at the top here, I think Mark mentioned this, but our mission is extremely clear. It is to serve patients. And that mission shows up on day one when you start. It's talked about, it's part of our training, and we talk about it being part of our DNA. What I think is really special about Amgen and the mission is that annually we renew and reconnect with that commitment during something we call Mission Week. Mission Week is a series of events designed for all employees, no matter the function, the role, to reconnect and hear from the patients that we serve. It's an incredibly powerful experience and helps, I know for me personally, to be able to step back and remind myself that no matter what task I'm doing, it could be creating a PowerPoint, whatever it is, it all connects, it all contributes to that mission to serve patients. In this slide, you'll also notice that we have 6 therapeutic areas with products to treat serious disease and unmet medical need. On the right, you'll also notice that we have 34 products currently approved by the US FDA. Some of these may be familiar to you. You might have seen them on TV or probably in your programs, the Otezla, the Enbrel, all of them. Mark mentioned the innovations. Many of these are first-in-class therapies that we're really leading the pack with these medicines. I'll mention, in addition to these innovative medicines, we've grown a strong pipeline or portfolio of biosimilar medicines, and these provide patients with more options that help reduce the cost of the healthcare system overall. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff, the stars. So for over the next 3 slides, we're going to go a little bit deeper on each of these 3 functions I keep mentioning, and then turn to the actual fellows who are going to share their perspectives on the opportunity and what they've experienced so far. So I'm going to kick off with regulatory. Again, I'm in the regulatory function. And again, our mission in regulatory is to serve patients by creating and executing strategies to obtain, as fast as we can, obtain and maintain product licenses globally. Okay. When I think about regulatory, I think about a chess game. Okay. It's strategy, it's thinking globally, it's figuring out which steps to take and when. So when you think about what could I expect from a fellowship in regulatory, what skills would I develop for the next step in my career? It is things that Mark mentioned, like developing global regulatory strategies, okay, to get those licenses, to figure out how to use certain levers within the regulatory schema globally, things like innovative clinical trial design or accelerated approvals, regulatory flexibilities, things to help us get those approvals faster. Okay, that's one of the things that's incredibly powerful that we do. In addition, you'll learn how to work cross-functionally within a biopharma company. Regulatory can't go it alone. We need to be working in union with many functions. And then also how to negotiate with regulators. So if you're interested in, really tough negotiations, come over to regulatory. And then lastly, one of the most powerful aspects of this fellowship in regulatory is building that global regulatory perspective, how to work to obtain licenses in Europe, in emerging markets like China and Japan, okay, Brazil, et cetera. Those are the key markets that we focus on. So with that, I'm going to turn to the stars of today's presentation within regulatory and have them share in a sort of 2 to 3 minute overview what they've experienced so far. What is it like to work at Amgen? What can they expect? What's been valuable? So with that, I'm going to call Desi-Ann to the virtual stage to kick us off with her thoughts and perspectives. Desi-Ann.
Thank you, Heather. Before I begin, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for tuning in this evening as an inaugural fellow. It makes me really happy to see that so many people are interested in the program, and Amgen is expanding and will continue to provide future opportunities for fellows. So it's been about 1.5 years since I started my journey. In the beginning, it was a little bit different for me. I was told that by the 6-month mark is where most of the fellows had a pretty good hang of things. I felt like it took a little bit longer for me. Coming into this, I knew that there was going to be a big learning curve, and I was mentally prepared to face that challenge. I feel like the one thing that helped me to acclimate to this new role was accepting that this was a new space, and that would mean that I would not know everything. Accepting being uncomfortable in the current situation allowed me to thrive and transition smoothly. My support system has been phenomenal from day one. Everyone wants you to succeed. Everybody welcomed me with open arms and offered to help me however they could. I'm currently supporting two amazing teams where I'm challenged on a day-to-day basis. I'm given assignments and projects where I'm required to think outside the box. I'm not just placed in a team and placed to the side. I'm actually given a seat at the table where I'm required to, voice my concerns, give my opinions, my ideas, and overall be an active member within the team. Throughout the whole process, I met with my preceptor, Shonda, and the managers within my team regularly on a weekly basis, I would say. Those meetings were very important to me because it was during those meetings where I was able to voice my concerns. For example, what strategies was working for me, what was not working, what changes needed to be done, and overall, what was needed to ensure that I was getting the best possible experience from this program. I've had the opportunity to participate in several agency meetings, specifically with the FDA, and I'm confident that I'm getting the right training paired with the right tools and resources that will allow me to be a competitive candidate, not only within the walls of Amgen, but within the regulatory space as a whole. My role is a strategy fellowship. However, my preceptor was very flexible with my schedule. I was given the opportunity to branch out within different functional areas within regulatory. So I would say if you have a concern, if you have an interest, just let your preceptor know and they will make it happen as long as it's something reasonable. The same things can be said about the Howard side of things. Howard provided several opportunities for career enhancements. For example, Howard would pay for your RAC exam. They will pay for your PMP certification. And I know as a second year fellows, we will be appointed life coaches pretty soon to help us with soft skills to navigate and transition into the workforce. We also had the honor of lecturing the pharmacy jurisprudence class at Howard, and that was an invaluable experience for me. Overall, I would recommend this program to anyone who's interested. After I was selected for this position, I reached out to Dr. Etienne, and he mentioned that the ultimate goal of the program was to provide a well-rounded, successful individual. And after a year and a half into the program, I can honestly say that we are moving in the right direction. A very important factor about this program is that it's remote. This afforded me the opportunity to be a present and active parent within my family. I have two young kids, 6 and under. So this program allowed me to be there for my family, all while forging a new career path for myself. And for that, I will be forever grateful. Once again, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And I will pass it on to my co-fellow, Erica Lasayer, to describe her experience.
Thank you, Desi. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Erica Lasser. I'm the second year fellow in GRA, and my co-fellow is Dr. Desi and Julian. I 100% echo her sentiments as far as being supported at Amgen, whether it has just been having a bad day with not understanding material during my transition, or just needing help figuring out what are my next steps and how to approach a certain project. I have never felt alone or as if I couldn't reach out to my preceptor or any other manager in this area to get help. There's always someone around who is willing to lend out a hand, even if it's just 20 minutes to talk about their journey through regulatory or whatever functional area they may have been in. In addition to everything that you just heard about the Global Regulatory Affairs Fellowship, I wanted to share one of my favorite experiences thus far. I had the opportunity to participate in an ODAC, which is our Oncologic Drug Advisory Committee that Amgen had with one of our programs, Lumacras. We have been working on this project over the past 6 months this year, and to be a fellow in this space was a very unique opportunity. I was supported by a United States regulatory leader who basically paved the way and showed me what her job duties were, how she contributed to the team, working with our vendors to facilitate any meetings or small projects that we had along the way, as well as being there firsthand when the actual meeting with the FDA took place. So a very unique opportunity for me to have as a fellow, and that absolutely would not have been available without the sponsors of my preceptor, Dr. Shonda Walton, as well as the regulatory professionals that I work with on a daily with our program. So I absolutely have felt supported. I've had very unique opportunities and I've been able to network in this space.
as well as with Howard, as Desi has shown, a lot of professional development opportunities. We were co-professors with the Howard Jurisprudence law class, a very cool and unique opportunity. All of those PharmD students, I know you guys, if you're in that class right now, how tough it can be, but definitely a different feeling to be on the other side and see all the work that goes into producing that material. So I really echo everything as far as support. I 100% believe that after completing this fellowship program, I will be ready to enter a full-time position in global regulatory affairs, and I feel confident that I will do well in this space. Thank you. And I'll pass it on to Dr. Jessica Nwabuku.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Waboku. I am one of the first year fellows here at the Global Regulatory Affairs Fellowship. I just want to echo what the two second-year fellows have said. I'm so happy to be one of the first-year fellows here for this company. Not only is it remote, so it provides extreme flexibility as well as autonomy, which is one of my greatest strengths on how I work and one of my leadership skills. I'm currently working on 3 projects. One I haven't started yet. The EU clinical trial regulation is a new regulation that governs all interventional clinical trials using human medicinal products. So by implementing the clinical trials regulation, which was implemented last year, the European Commission hopes to establish a better environment for clinical trials. So I'll be supporting an immunology product, a product that's already been approved, Otezla. I'm going to be starting this next month, early next month. So there's been 4 trials already. 2 have already been transitioned, and 1 is going to be due in November. And so I'll be working on that one and another one in January. So I'm looking forward to that because it's outside of the US. It's actually a Europe support. So yeah, again, I'm looking forward to that. Another project I'm working on now is Amgen 451, which is an immunology product. This one is very interesting because it has several indications, and I'm working on the asthma indication, which is very fulfilling to me because I have asthma. So I've been able to work on the IND submission for this, which is very, very, very important in regulatory affairs. So being that I am a new fellow and just being able to have such beneficial experience, such as being a part of an IND submission, is something that stands out for me. We submitted the IND earlier this month on October 4th for moderate to severe asthma. So again, very fulfilling and rewarding to be able to assist with that. The last project I'm working on is one of my favorites, if I'm being biased, but it was something that was very, very important for me to have as a fellow here. Being that this fellowship is in strategy, I am interested as well as ad promo. So I'm so thankful to my preceptor, Chanda Walton, for allowing me to get this experience with no hesitation, hands-on from the jump. I'm currently supporting Tavnos, which is ad promo project. So it's on an adjunct treatment for rare disease. So I attend biweekly meetings. I'm reviewing promotional and educational pieces for patients and healthcare providers. Because Tavnos is a rare disease treatment, education is highly important to provide, as well as to ensure that information on the promotional and educational pieces are truthful and not misleading. So that's some of the things that I do. I look forward to making comments in the future very, very soon. So those are the 3 projects that I'm working on. I meet with my regulatory team leads every week, and they help to answer any questions that I have, which makes me feel so, so supported and included because my global regulatory team leads are managing the whole team. So for them to take their time to meet with me every week as a first-year fellow means a lot to me, and I'm grateful for their time. One thing that I can say that I've done so far, or something that is my favorite highlight so far in the fellowship, was being able to attend the Mission Week. I was able to attend the Mission Week that took place earlier this month as well in Thousand Oaks, and hearing patients' experiences on the products that I'm working on, such as Tavneos, soon Otezla. It was so rewarding for me, to know that the work that I'm doing is very impactful and beneficial for everyone around the world. So that's a little bit about my experience. Look forward to answering any questions anybody may have, and I will go ahead and pass it off to my co-fellow, Gabriel Joseph.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Joseph. For the fellowship, for me, I feel like a lot of the things that Erica, Jessica, and Desianne have mentioned reign true. A lot of the concerns that I had prior to actually starting the fellowship don't even exist. I would say I was very hesitant and very anxious about getting into the company and not being confident or self-sufficient in the workload I would be able to do. But I feel like the support system that's there, both on the Amgen side and on the Howard side, has been more than enough. Aside from the Howard support that is already there, it built into the structure of the program. When I first started at the company at Amgen, I think in July, so many people reached out to me. Every time I had a meeting with somebody, they kind of reached out saying, hey, Gabriel, if you have any questions or you need any more insight or clarification on what we're working on, feel free to reach out to me for a one-on-one. I'll clarify. And yeah, so I think it's been great for me in that regard. I'm currently working on 2 projects as well, 2 oncology projects. At first, when I started, I was kind of thinking like, oh, I didn't think the team was going to have me as heavily involved as I wanted to be. But as Mark mentioned, you will be heavily involved. You will be expected to participate and have deliverables. So it's been a good thing for me, especially because I feel like the fellowship program in itself is about learning, getting your feet wet, building you up to be a full regulatory professional at the end of the 2 years. So yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I'm working on 2 projects. Everything's been good for me so far. I'm looking forward to answering everybody's questions at the end.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Desianne, Erica, Jessica, and Gabriel. So that's the overview and deep dive from regulatory affairs. And now I'm going to turn it over to Vicki Lowe to provide an overview of medical affairs, fellowship opportunity, and insights from their fellows.
Great, thanks, Heather. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. I want to just, take a moment again to thank you all for joining us today at our open house to learn more about our Amgen and Howard postdoctoral PharmD fellowship opportunities. My name is Vicki Lowe, as Heather mentioned, and I work in our medical affairs group. I am within the function of scientific communications here at Amgen, and I'm the fellowship lead for this fellowship program on the medical side. I'm really excited to be, continuing this partnership with Howard. We are we've got a great group of fellows, and we are so fortunate to be able to continue this program and grow into the future. I truly believe that, there are many exciting and dynamic fellowship opportunities that one can find within the pharmaceutical industry. And honestly, I believe that Amgen is a great place to consider getting this experience. So the medical fellowship, let me briefly share with you about this program, and then certainly I know the more exciting aspect is to hear directly from our second and first year fellows on the medical side. It is a 2-year program that we offer. The incoming fellow will gain an experience within Amgen's medical affairs team, focusing on global and U.S. Medical activities. And the therapeutic area that the fellow will support is our inflammation therapeutic area. This is one of our key therapeutic teams here at Amgen. As Heather showcased earlier in the previous slide, we have numerous therapeutic areas here within Amgen's portfolio. Inflammation is one of our key therapeutic areas, and we're really fortunate to be able to have the fellow join, come next year. So within the group, the fellow will have, very much on-hands experience, as others had mentioned. And in the medical group, the 2-year fellowship is designed in such that it's a rotation, rotating through key functions within the medical affairs arena, starting within scientific communications for about roughly 9 months, moving on to the medical strategy group for about 9 months, and then looking towards really having the fellow identify an area of their interest for the remaining 6 months of the 2-year program. That allows great flexibility so that we can really tailor this program of interest to the fellows, personal and professional career aspirations. As noted, there's several facets of medical affairs, and I've listed a few of them here in the third bullet. There's medical communications, there's medical information, there's global publications and medical strategy. And that's just naming a few of the various facets of what we do. I think it's really hard to succinctly, summarize, what any one of these elements entail, and hopefully the fellows will be able to give a little more color based on their experiences as to what a fellow will do when they join Amgen. But suffice to say, I can certainly say within scientific communications here at Amgen, we are the group that really helps to utilize scientific expertise, translate that clinical insight, and create medical content. And we do this through, innovative communication strategies. And ultimately, we share that medical content and we educate that's used to help educate the healthcare community. And then ultimately, we also have field medical as part of our medical affairs arena. And that's the group that has face-to-face interactions with physicians in the healthcare community, and they facilitate that scientific dialogue on a day-to-day basis. So there's a whole gamut of functions that really make up the medical affairs team. In any case, moving on, the individual will develop, strong scientific expertise. They will leave with, building strong business acumen and really be very well-rounded to succeed in with a future career in the, pharma biotech industry. Fellows they work closely with a designated preceptor, or in this case, preceptors, because they rotate through different core functions. Myself being the program lead, I meet routinely with all of the fellows on an ongoing basis, more as a mentor and just to, have an ongoing dialogue and support them however I can. The fellowship experience will certainly allow individuals to really hone their strategic thinking and analytical skills. Fellows come and they work closely with cross-functional partners, sometimes doing projects together in a team fashion, sometimes leading projects independently, but ultimately they will gain, some very diverse experiences. And hopefully, walk away with just, overall meaningful relationships that they build internally, as well as working with some external thought leaders on occasion. And, have the ability to work with global colleagues, US colleagues. We have a pretty complex matrix that we work in, and as fellows, they really work just like the rest of the team members in our medical group, and we work, independently and collectively as teams. Let me just move on. And before I move on to the fellows and introduce them, I did want to mention that I am joined today with a couple other colleagues on the medical sides. Jude Ngang, he is with our RISE team. And so really that's the Representation and Clinical Research Group. And I wanted to make sure folks are aware, as well as Diana Molzak, and she is one of our principal field medical liaisons on the oncology team. Diana is a special, colleague that I include every year at this particular day when we do the open house, because Diana is a graduate of Howard, and that is her alma mater, and she always comes back, and participates in this open house. So I really appreciate her participation. If you have questions later on in the Q&A, Jude and Diana can help along with the fellows. So moving on to the next slide, please, Heather. So the fellows, happy to introduce Arinze, Gabriel, and Chanel. And we'll start with Arinze, let him sharing his experiences through his past year and a half. Arinze?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, as Vicky mentioned, my name is Arinze Onwalu. I'm a second-year fellow and one of the inaugural fellows here at the Medical Affairs. I just want to share a little bit about my second-year experience. During my second year as a fellow, I had the privilege of becoming a member of the medical strategy team, collaborating closely with the US medical directors on the product Otezla. And this experience allowed me to accumulate valuable insights into devising our medical strategy for the product, which involved undertaking various projects such as crafting engagement strategies for different healthcare professionals, engaging with advocacy organizations to gain a deeper understanding of patient perspectives on disease, and attending conferences to engage with KOLs or key opinion leaders and stay updated on the latest research in my specific therapeutic area, which is inflammation. In addition to these projects, Howard actively supports our professional development. As Desi-Ann mentioned earlier, I'm currently working on pursuing my project management certification, which these efforts, I believe, will greatly contribute to my future success as a leader in this industry, which is the ultimate goal of the program altogether. I'll pass things on to Dr. Gabriel Lake to explain his second-year experience.
Thanks so much, Arinze. Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing okay. My name is Gabriel. I'm the second-year Medical Affairs Fellow here at Amgen, currently supporting Repatha. So I'm on the cardiovascular end with the focus on my product. So my experience is similar to what Arinze has had. The way that it's structured, we did a bit of a rotational experience. So we rotated from scientific communications first, and then now we're completing the opportunity in medical strategy. But like Arinze said, it's been a multiple, it's multiple different pieces that we kind of talk about in terms of, the impact that we make on our teams. But one thing I do want to echo, just similar to what our others have said, is about how you can be immersed into that team environment. And this is how this experience has kind of helped foster my growth. I think understanding, building my business acumen into how the measures and things are put into place and how they can actually translate and be completed and seen, put into practice, how we can see it. So in this, right now in this second year, being a medical strategy, we kind of have a unique opportunity to see how the ship is being, driven. We're seeing how the strategy and piece and everything is put into motion, and then we can kind of contribute and see how the effect is seen downstream. So this opportunity has been very, very beneficial to me, I would say. I've enjoyed every bit of it on this ride so far. Definitely feel like once I come out of this experience that I'll be well equipped to take on a particular role continually in medical affairs, wherever I may be. So that's my experience thus far. I won't hold it too much longer. Happy to answer all y'all's questions, and I'll kick it off to Chanel. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. Hello, everyone. My name is Chanel DeBro, and I'm the first-year Global Medical Affairs Fellow at Amgen. I started in July, so I'm actually still fairly new, which of course poses its own challenges. But I will say that my team has been very supportive, like the other fellows have said. Like, At the beginning, I did feel like, oh, I'm asking a lot of questions, but my team actually encouraged me to ask more questions, which makes sense because, of course, coming into a new space, it could be kind of intimidating. But like I said, my team has been very supportive throughout the whole time. Right now, I'm working in scientific communications, so I'll be doing that for a total of 9 months. And I guess just to give you guys an idea of some of the stuff that I work on, I'm actually leading about 2 or 3 things right now. One of them being Otezla escalations. And so basically we do have a third-party vendor, and they pretty much serve as the front line. So they answer questions that we get from HCPs or from MSLs in general. And when they can't answer those questions based off the resources they have, they then escalate it up to me. And of course, I'm supposed to provide some type of answer that they can formulate into a formal document and send back off to the HCPs or whoever the requester was. So yeah, that's something that I'm leading right now. I'm also working on, Medicaid testimonies. So MSLs will basically reach out to me and let me know that they're having like a Medicaid meeting and they need, of course, a Medicaid testimony document. And that document basically serves as just like a short synopsis of our product, more so like our indications, and just supposed to serve as more so a way to promote our product as well as like say the benefits of our product if they were to add it. It's basically just to, for Medicaid to be able to cover our product under the patients who are covered under that particular Medicaid state. So yeah, I work with that. And then I also, I'm working right now on updating MILs, which are medical information letters. And some of them are nearing expiration. So I'm just working with that. And I know our label, we had a couple different label updates. So of course you have to incorporate that into your meals. So that's just a few things that I'm leading right now. And I have done other things when I first joined, and I do have even more projects lined up for me to, of course, assist on and hopefully lead those as well. So as you can see, it is a lot of opportunity for you to work on a lot of different things. It's a lot of opportunity for you to learn. It's a lot of opportunity for you to be able to lead. And so, like I said, I have a very supportive team, and I actually was able to meet a lot of them in early October. So I went to an on-site visit in California with Amgen, and I got to meet a lot of the SciComm team, which was very great. And then I also got to stay. So I was actually in California for almost 2 weeks, and I got to stay to be a part of Mission Week. I didn't get to stay the whole time, but it was just a great experience because, of course, like Amgen, we know that they're doing so much great work, including myself. And it's like to actually see, of course, our mission is to serve the patients, but to actually see, like patients, giving their testimonies and saying how much our products have, impacted not only them, but their families, which is really rewarding to see. So that was definitely a great experience to be a part of. And so I hope that gives basically a good synopsis of my first year so far and what to expect if you're looking to be in the medical affairs space. And thank you all for being here today. And all those who are interested, I definitely look forward to hopefully, interviewing you guys throughout that process. And of course, I'm open to any questions that you guys have in the end. So with that all said, I'll go ahead and pass it back off to Heather.
Thank you, Chanel. That was great. I'm going to tee up Sarah, who's going to join us to provide an overview of the patient safety function and fellowship. So Sarah,
Thank you very much, Vicki. So hello, everyone. My name is Sarah McGill. I am also a PharmD by training. I got my degree at MCPHS University and also did a 2-year fellowship with their fellowship program. And then I came to Amgen, and I was very happy to be involved with cultivating and continuing a PharmD fellowship here at Amgen. So I'll just give you a little overview about our fellowship and what we're trying to accomplish here with this fellowship. As is the case with the other fellowships, this is a 2-year fellowship within our global patient safety function. This is a focus on pharmacovigilance, which is responsible for the monitoring, detection, assessment, and prevention of adverse events in our products. The fellows are really going to be able to do as much as possible with hands-on activities in this fellowship, with the understanding that coming in, you're going to be learning every day. So there will be a little bit of training heavy in the beginning. However, once you get your feet under you and have that foundational understanding, you'll be jumping right in with hands-on work. We want fellows at the end of the day to have the most diverse skill set and experience as possible within the pharmacovigilance space. We want to expose you as much as to the end, from the beginning to the end of the product life cycle as possible. As safety is very critical to what we do here at Amgen and across the pharmaceutical industry, it is really, we get involved with product development pretty much right before patient's first dose. So we're involved from the very beginning, and we are involved with the product until it's no longer on the market and patients are not receiving it any longer. So we get to see products through a diverse landscape of their life cycle from the very beginning to the very end. As such, we do a lot of different activities within safety, whether that be adverse event reporting or detection, benefit risk assessments, periodic reports. It's quite a diverse landscape of activities and documents that we work with, and we endeavor to get the fellows involved with all of those activities as much as possible. Some of these documents and activities are more periodic and normal in nature, and some of them are things that we only see every once in a while, but we try to make sure that we get those fellows involved with those activities when possible. And we want to make sure that the fellow is well-rounded in the pharmaceutical industry in general and safety in general. So we also involve in the beginning training sessions with some of our other safety colleagues in the signal management team and case operations and combination product safety, as we all work together in the safety matrix to ensure that all of our products are correctly monitored and labeled. And we want to make fellows have a diverse skill set at the end, whether it be with problem solving and critical thinking. Safety is a very detail-oriented function. There's a lot of kind of critical assessment knowledge needed. And obviously your medical knowledge is extraordinarily important, as we do conduct, individual review of cases and causality assessments, and, going through case narratives and assessing for, causality with our products. So you'll be jumping in and doing those activities. I know, we'll speak to it later, but he's actually working on right now something very similar, doing those assessments to support a signal assessment for one of our products. So through that, I will be your touch point within the safety group. I'm the main preceptor for the program. I meet with William weekly to get updates on what his progress is, to answer any questions. But there are also other players within the safety team. There is Roman, who is my counterpart, who actually supports the MD fellowship within the safety team. And we also work closely with the MD fellow as well in terms of supporting each other and doing different projects, as well as Richa, who is the head of our team, who is another touch point and another lead for the program, as well as other mentors and people within the team, which help the fellow with any questions or with any projects or things of that nature. So the fellow will be working with pretty much everyone within our team, whether that be scientists, GSOs, TA heads, our cross-functional colleagues, whether that be within safety or within our regulatory or medical colleagues as well. And we want to make sure that at the end of the day, that the fellow has the most fulfilling experience within safety as possible, so that at the end of the fellowship, they're able to go out and have a successful career, hopefully here at Amgen, but elsewhere within the industry as well. So with that, I know, again, William could speak better to the experience than I can. So I will hand it off to him to speak about how his experience has been so far.
Thank you, Sarah. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you. So like Sarah alluded, there's a lot of training in the beginning, but one of the key things that Sarah and Richa have told me, and my co-fellow, who's the MD fellow, is, just be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, because it is a lot of information off the beginning. But just a quick brief background on myself. So my name is William Paso, graduated from Temple School of Pharmacy in 2023. And so far, as far as my fellowship experience here has been great. like Sarah said, the resources are always there and always available. Sarah, Roman, Richa, they're very accessible, very open to have conversation. It could be as simple as putting something on the calendar, or it could be something as simple as just popping them up on a quick Teams meeting chat and just ask them a brief question. But most of your questions are going to be answered almost immediately. And if you need maybe like a 15, 20-minute conversation to kind of get a better, deeper understanding, they're okay with that as well too, just because, again, there's a lot of different moving pieces in safety. So, just even one missing information sometimes might make an idea not be the same exact idea as what you're thinking. But again, it is a really safe space to ask questions. I ask questions pretty much every time I meet with Sarah, every time I meet with Roman. Sometimes I feel like it's a lot. I may even ask the same question twice just because, when I get new information, it may, become a little confusing. But again, very open to questions and answering, and also taking that time to train us each week, or, and sometimes every 2 weeks on different processes, different software, just because that's also another sort of, uh, process in safety where, there's just a lot of different software that we're using to sort of get that story told. Overall, though, I've loved every single moment of it. I never knew that with a PharmD, I'd be so heavy into Excel spreadsheets, but it's one of those things that is sort of the nature of the game, nature of the beast. And you actually really get to read some very, touching stories from some of the safety reporting, which ultimately kind of feeds into my future goals, which is, to empower our patients to be able to be active participants in their care, just because we are reading these safety reports and some of them are written by reporters that are not the patients. So some information may not be there. So, it helps kind of feed back into that PharmD base where, we all care about our patients understanding their medications, understanding their side effects, and being able to report that information in case they, do experience some of those side effects. And ultimately, like Sarah said, this space is very collaborative. You have deadlines. The deadlines are pretty, set in stone, but everybody is there to assist you. You're never going to be given a project and sort of been like told, hey, good luck. There's resources, there's guides, there's, documents that tell you step by step how to analyze, a certain spreadsheet or so forth. And there's also trainings that we're involved in, every week, sometimes multiple times a week. And then we complete the training, we return the training, and then feedback is presented. And ultimately, like everyone said in this chat, the fellowship really is there to sort of drive us to become, the perfect versions of ourselves in this role. So as a pharmacovigilance safety fellow, my goal is to make sure that all the reports that I see are, accurate to the best of, my knowledge and my resources, as well as, if we do detect any sort of anomalies in those, to be able to bring them up to the right individuals in the right teams and discuss those and maybe open some sort of investigation to determine whether they're factual or maybe they just be a one-off reporting. But just in closing, again, ultimately this fellowship really kind of drives you to be always, 100% of your game, just because there's so many different moving pieces from the software, from the databases that you're jumping back and forth to determine, case narratives and so forth, as well from just the information that I learned when I first started at Amgen from the training modules that, I sat through in the very beginning. So, and with all of that information, ultimately I hope to be able to be a subject matter expert in, safety, be able to provide our patients that, that resource to them and that encouragement, as well as, other sort of mechanisms that they can be able to utilize to be able to report safety findings to us, or to whoever is producing those drugs, and ultimately make sure that the work that we're doing is, useful. It's high quality work, and our patients are going to benefit from the reporting that we're receiving. So thank you. And with that, I'll like to pass it off to Heather.
Thank you, William. While I have the floor, I noticed that Laura Bloss has joined us, and I just wanted to introduce Laura. She is our Vice President of Global Regulatory Affairs and General Medicine. Not only just is she managing General Med. She's also heading up integration of Horizon, which you may have heard of our recent acquisition. So I just want to say hi, Laura. If you wanted to introduce yourself, thanks for joining us. I know you had a really busy day today, so we're thrilled you're here.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. It's nice to see everybody. Really happy to see 48 people on. This is really great attendance, and I wanted to thank everyone who came to hear a little bit more about Amgen and the fellowships that we have in partnership with Howard University. So welcome to everyone, and look forward to seeing all of your applications. So thank you.
Great. So if you have really difficult regulatory affairs questions, send them to Laura, okay? That's how it works now. Okay, so let me turn it back to Vicki, who is going to provide a brief overview of the application process, and then we'll jump into Q&A. So Vicki, do you want to take us through it?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, this is really just a recap of the application process for those of you all who have looked into the, any of the Howard and company programs that are offered. This is what has been set forth. So there are some requirements for applications. Every applicant must have submit a letter of intent, a curriculum vitae, your 3 letters of recommendation, and your transcript of PharmD coursework. The deadline for the application process for all of this materials is November 23rd. And Howard has put together a really nice fellowship application portal where you can submit, as interested candidates can submit all of these materials through that portal. So I think it's on Howard's website. We've provided, I know it's probably, there's a QR code and there's a link if you had access. And we also have an accompanying Amgen Howard Fellowship brochure that's available on the Howard website. That too has information on the application process where you can access this. But what I did want to note is, while we have a deadline of November 23rd, that's put forth, in partnership with Howard College of Pharmacy. Please do, if you are interested in any of these programs, please do submit your application materials. Strongly encouraged to submit them sooner than later, right? So you don't have to wait until November 23rd to make that submission. Go ahead and start applying up through November 23rd being the last date that's possible. So applications will, certainly will come through on a rolling basis. And that's why we really encourage everyone to just do it sooner, as soon as you possibly can, if you are interested. And if you are interested in any of the Amgen programs, be it the Global Regulatory Program, the Global Medical, or the Global Safety programs, please do, during the application process, you will specify which Amgen program. It could be that you're interested in multiple Amgen programs, but they are different. And so please make that specific notation as you guys apply. Any questions on that? And certainly I have Dr. Olajide as well to address any questions if I missed anything on that process.
No, that was great. Thank you, Vicki. I think folks also see on here that there's an email address. So if for any reasons you have issues with application, we've had a ton of people email us their letters of recommendation, their letters of intent, their transcripts. So feel free to email us at pharmacy.fellowship@howard.edu, and we will get back to you with answers. That's pretty much it. I think you all see on here that, Dr. Etienne's information's here. We can also add it to chat. One question, Vicki, that I've gotten a lot of is, who do they send the letter or address the letters of intent and recommendation to? And that goes directly to Dr. Earl Etienne, and his information's on here. We'll also include it in the chat, so folks have that information handy. Okay.
Great, thanks. Yes, and for folks, while it's addressed to Dr. Etienne, he and Dr. Olajide And the Howard team will ultimately screen the applications and triage them to the respective Amgen counterparts. So rest assured, we will see them as well when they come through. That is the end of the application process slide. We just have, we're closing out with an open Q&A session. I think it started already in the chat line, but certainly individuals that are on the call, feel free to open up your line and ask questions, and I can certainly help facilitate. If your question is specific to any of the key functions, we'll have those individuals help address. Any questions? Or add them to the chat line.
I'm starting to see one here, and feel free to introduce yourself. Let us know your university or college, and ask your question. I can see Obianuju Vicky raise her hand in the chat on the screen.
Great.
Hello, everyone. My name is Uju. I'm a P4 at Howard University. For the regulatory affairs team, my question is, what has been the most difficult task for you guys as a first year and a second year? If you have any. Thank you.
I can start. Again, I'm Erica Lucero. I'm a second year Global Regulatory Affairs Fellow. I think the biggest adjustment is transitioning. Coming from a very clinical background to being able to read and interpret different guidances by whichever health authority and translate that into telling the story for a program. I think that has been the most challenging. But other than that, I've felt very supported throughout that process. I've always been able to get on a call with a regulatory professional and have them explain to me how things work, whether it's Amgen specific or whether it can be, a simple global application. But that's been my biggest adjustment.
Hi, my name is Desia Juliet, and I'm the co-fellow with Erica Lasayer. I would say my biggest challenge so far was actually transitioning to the Global Regulatory Affairs Fellow role. Like, when you're in pharmacy school, you're taught you have to know everything, you have to be in the top of your game. Coming into this space, it was like coding for me. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, there were many meetings I sat in and I had no idea what happened. Like, I got off the call and I'm like, can you explain to me what happened? Have to reach out to people and have them explain to me what happened, get a second take on what happened. But I would say just, accepting that fact that you don't know everything allowed me to actually thrive and learn. So I would say that's been my most challenging role so far.
That's a great point. Desian, you and Eric, I think you're leading to growth mindset. Coming in knowing that, okay, you may not know, but you're willing to expand and grow and ask the questions. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Alfred is next. Alfred, you have 3 hands up. I don't know how that happens, but
You know what? I don't know how that happened either. But my name is Stevens Alfred. I am a fourth year pharmacy student from Temple University. I'm a PharmD MBA candidate. It's nice to see a lot of Temple fellows in there. So my question is that for the global medical affairs. So like when it comes to like sourcing your like internal and external like resources for like basically your projects, how what resources does Amgen like provide when you're looking up these different things?
To be a little more specific in terms of
Yeah, because like in pharmacy school, we use like LexiComp and stuff like that to basically answer these questions. But I know like pharmaceutical companies, they typically have their own internal like maybe database or resources that they use to provide the fellows to do these types of projects. So I guess that would be my question. Like, do you have these internal databases, and maybe what are they like?
Yeah, good question. Good question, Stevens. So this is Gabe. This is Gabriel, the one on the fellow on the Repatha side. So I've had multiple kind of projects kind of doing research. Amgen has like an extensive library where they keep like a repository of a lot of our primary literature and things out there. So that's one of like the first steps I would use, utilizing just our normal PubMed searches and things like that, so utilizing that skill that you built, using the PubMed, knowing how to, just really be efficient in your search process. I think, it'll help prepare you for it. But yeah, so we have like more of an internal repository, but you still kind of utilize some of those original methods that we employed before, that we learned during pharmacy school. So yeah, good question though. Thanks for the question.
And I could just add that, certainly we have access to public data, as Gabriel mentioned, but depending on what the question is, being asked and by whom, multiple things, we do have internal resources as well. I think that was what the question you were also getting at. Is it internal? Is it external? Is it both? I would say it's both. We have access, but just it all depends on, what's being asked. When Chanel talked about earlier, she's working on some medical information letters and preparing medical responses, right, to questions that we might get asked by healthcare providers. Certainly we want to look at all the data that's that data that Amgen has, data that's also external, or publicly available. That's what I wanted to say. So we will certainly formulate the appropriate response based on the available data, but I would say we are well resourced.
Thank you.
Excellent. I think the next person on here is Alan. Alan, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alan. I am from Appalachian College of Pharmacy. My pharmacy is a non-traditional program, so we have a 3-year program instead of a 4-year program. I just had 2 questions regarding Amgen's interview process. Is it just one interview, or is it like multiple rounds of interview? That's my first question. And my second question is in regards to the application. When emailing the letter of intent, because there are multiple options that we can apply for, multiple companies in general, do we add all of the letter of intent to one email, or do we separately email each of them?
So I will take that last question is fairly straightforward. You can put it in one email. That is fine.
Okay.
What's important is when you're, what you've written to include which position it is for. Okay. Yes.
Good. I just wanted to confirm it. Thank you.
And then, Alan, to your other question, I can I'll start on the medical side, and then certainly my colleagues on the regulatory and safety side can chime in if they have a different process. The way it works on the medical side and how we've approached it in the past is we just have one set of interviews. I mean, it's with several individuals, but it's not like we have it in a 2 or 3 step approach, right? Like once we identify the candidates that we will be interviewing for our particular fellowship role, we will make that connection, schedule it at a time that's convenient for that individual, along with the Amgen colleagues, because they are conducted virtually. We might have some flexibility on the days, and they might not all happen at the same day, right? We will do our best to accommodate, at a convenient time for everyone. But it's not like there's 2 rounds. Like it's just 1 round of interviews with several individuals.
And usually, is there like a presentation that we have to also do for medical affairs?
We don't, for the medical affairs position, we do not have any required presentations.
Thank you. Those are
sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes. Heather, Sarah, I don't know if you guys want to chime in on the other programs, if there's anything different.
I can jump in. For the safety fellowship, we take more of a two-step approach. We do a first round individual interview. And then from there, we also will do a larger panel interview. So we would take more of a stepwise approach for our interview process. So there might be more than one interview necessary.
And then for regulatory, I can chime in for regulatory. So we do a panel interview, and normally in the panel interview, it will include representatives from Amgen as well as representatives from Howard, basically. And we do a couple of different interviews as well. And there's no presentation required for the interview process in regulatory.
Thank you so much for that. I also wanted to ask where I can get this brochure because I was surfing the net so much for this, but I couldn't find it. Is it published yet on the website? It is?
Yeah, so it should be published on the website. However, I know they were doing construction on that website today. When I went on there, I didn't see any of the information. So, Alan, I have your information. I'll make sure to get it to you, okay? And
Great.
we'll check back on the website. And there was another piece. So as far as the interview process, so the applications come to Howard, right? So before you get to go to Amgen, we do screening. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that we screen the applicants, and we like to have a conversation at least with them in that screening process, but we do have our own screening process, which would be a phone call or one virtual meeting.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
This next, is it Nia Daniel? Is that?
Oh, yes, that's me.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
You're on mute. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Am I still on mute?
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Like years of this and I'm still doing that. Anyway, so yeah, hi everyone. I'm Nia and I applied to the regulatory affairs functional area. So I'd love to hear from the regulatory fellows, but any Howard fellow can answer this question. Is actually what does the kind of Howard side of the fellowship look like? I think you guys did a really great job of explaining kind of what your time at Amgen looks like. I was wondering what the other piece kind of involves.
So I can start off with that. So there is no set requirement for on the Howard side. I don't want to say I like it, but I don't, I don't want to say anything about it. But I do want to say that since the fellowship is remote, there's no requirement for it to be at Howard, but it is optional. So like the second year fellows did mention they had opportunity to teach law. For the other, like for other programs that are not Amgen, they have that requirement, but for us it's only optional. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that does. Thank you. I'm just wondering, did anyone choose from any functional area to choose to do something at Howard? Like you said, teaching law or something like that?
I think I can piggyback off of Jessica's answer. So I feel like the last year regulatory fellows were able to teach a course, but this year they actually provided a lot of legal courses for the fellows. So I had the pleasure to attend some of the classes. There are like 4 different courses that are offered. I only attended one of them. So, but yeah, that's just one part of the Howard side as well.
Thank you.
So in addition to, the courses, either through the law school, some fellows have an option of doing a certification, so RAC certification. And for all fellows at Howard, this is all about professional training. So you get a professional certificate in PMP. That's project management professional, so you get that. We do push on people getting their licenses, right? So that is important, and you get an incentive for doing that. You've gone through a lot of schooling. We want you to get licensed. I am licensed, so it's great to have. You also have leadership opportunities. So there's some lead fellows on this call. You get to be a leader in a committee. You help to either work through the recruiting, the orientation, onboarding, scholarly activities, community engagement. So there's a number of different committees that you can be a leader on, or you can be a member. There's some other activities that people get involved in. Publications is one. I know it wasn't required for the second years, but come in the future, we will encourage that because we want you to use your resources and publish if you can while you're on your fellowship.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for answering. I really appreciate that.
No worries. And I think the next person here is Jani. I'm not sure if I said that right. Jani.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janai. um, I'm a clinical staff oncology pharmacist for the Orlando Health Cancer Institute. My first question is, are these fellowships specifically through Howard, are they only for students? So do you have to be a current PharmD candidate?
That's a great question. You're on mute. I was on mute. So the requirement is to be a PharmD, so to hold your license by the start of the program, so by next year. So these programs are starting in 2024, right? So you need to have your license by then. I would say by June. When I say license, I mean you need to have your PharmD degree by then, not license, to be clear. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I have another question as well. For the actual fellowships, do you guys support or do you guys encourage or even pay for further certification? So like if I want to become board certified pharmacist, the BCOP, do you guys pay for that? Or is that something that you wouldn't support?
That's a great question. We would, so what we do is we create customized experiences for folks as well. So it's something that we can discuss during the interview process, see, where that matches. But that's a really great question. At this point, we do not have a specific, allotment for someone that wants to do, BCOP or, other certification, but we can certainly talk about that.
Okay, and then my last question is, and I guess any of the fellows could answer this, or I guess you would answer too. Have you guys ever had someone who works in clinical pharmacy pivot into industry, or are all your candidates currently straight out of pharmacy school, straight into industry?
Great question.
I think Dr. Olajide, I don't know if Diana is on the call. This is probably a good question for Diana with May. Diana, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Hi, Janai. How are you?
I'm well.
So, hello, everyone. Just as Vicki announced, I am a Howard grad. In fact, Dr. Etienne and I were separated by a year in college. So that's how far back we go. And so it's always a great opportunity for me to come and share my experiences. I actually transitioned from clinical practice into industry. But I think your question was specifically with regard to transition from clinical into a fellowship and then into industry. And so I think the window of opportunity is open. I don't think that that should be a strike against you having practiced prior to pursuing an opportunity for a fellowship. And so I think there are opportunities across the board. So don't just think of it that you have to be a new graduate coming into the fellowship program. And Vicki may want to chime in with respect to that as well. But I think the window of opportunity is there.
Absolutely. This program is certainly 3 years in, right? But and while most of the fellows have come right out of directly from graduating into the fellowship program, that's not as Dr. Olajide noted, the really it's anyone who has their PharmD at the start of their fellowship program. So it's not excluding those that already have it, such as yourself, Janai, right? So if anything, you have a lot of clinical experience to draw from, and that is something to certainly that's invaluable experience, right? And that can easily translate well into a a role in the pharma industry, whether it be a fellowship or in a role in general, right? So certainly if this is something that you are interested in, whether it be this program or any program, to be honest, I would say, you know, it's open.
I just wanted to add, coming from a similar experience like you, I graduated back in 2017 and I worked as a retail and long-term care pharmacist for 5 years before transitioning into the industry role. So it's never too late, you know, don't count yourself out. You know, you're just as competitive as anybody else, if so more competitive because you have all that years of experience behind your belt. So that helps you in the long run.
Absolutely.
I don't want to overexhaust the response to the question, but June Gang, I also did carry out a PharmD fellowship or graduate of a fellowship program at MCPHS, and one of my co-fellows at Novartis program there, the program did require some clinical experience, the oncology program. So, but that was my co-fellow. I went straight from being a graduate student, and their experience, my co-fellow's experience of being an experienced clinical pharmacist, actually did help me learn a lot that I still apply in my role today. So I think it's just to conclude here that it's very open, and there is, even though there's learnings from your preceptor and your teams, there's also lots of learning opportunities from your co-fellows, which I do recall quite a lot of learnings that helped me today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
And I'm seeing the next person here, Amaya. Amaya, the floor is yours for your question.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amaya Connor, and I'm a fourth-year student at Xavier University of Louisiana. And my question is geared towards the Global Regulatory Affairs Fellows. Is there any way you can give us an overview of what your day-to-day schedule looks like as a fellow?
I think this is a good question for Jessica or Gabe.
Yeah, I
Can
can
you
go
repeat
ahead.
the question? Oh yeah, go ahead, Gabe. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
can go ahead. She's kind of just asking about our day-to-day, the day-to-day work cycle, day-to-day life. I feel like it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of reading. As we mentioned, I feel like the hardest part of the fellowship, at least that's what Erica and Desian said. I also agree, is the transitioning. I feel like when you graduate from pharmacy school, you learn all the clinical and pharmacology, but when you come into the industry, it's a different aspect. It's a different part that you have to pull from. So a lot of my time is really spent reading on the products that I'm assigned to, making sure I'm up to date and feeling like I'm keeping up with the rest of the team. Because as I said, I kind of came into the team and they've already been working together for some time. They already know the product well. Yeah, I feel like that's for me. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of reading as well.
Yeah, same. So I'm currently on, like I mentioned earlier, 3 projects. So with each of them, I meet with my regulatory leads. So that's 3 meetings every week, already on top of the meetings supporting the product. So that's additionally another 3 to 4 meetings, depending on, for the Tavneos ones, it's 2 meetings a week. And then for the other one, it's 1 meeting a week. So 3 meetings. So that's already 6 meetings in total, on top of any other, like we do a monthly fellows chat. So just meetings, honestly. And just reading about the products. For example, we did the IND submission. So me, kind of understanding what goes into the IND submission, looking through the brief summary for some of another project I'm working on, just trying to get a deeper understanding. So that way, when I'm asking questions, it's not something that's already in something that I should have read. So that's really, it's not really a day-to-day, it's more of a week-to-week. And the weeks are flexible, but the most consistent is meeting with my regulatory team leads on the project I'm supporting.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And I am keeping track of time, everyone. I know that we're moving through these, so thank you for your patience. I'm going to go ahead and let us answer a few more questions. I think Shylin is next. I didn't see, I saw some other folks, but Go ahead, Shylin, with your question. Great to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shylin Francis from the University of Louisiana Monroe College of Pharmacy. Like Amaya, I'm from Louisiana, so how you doing, Amaya? My question is for regulatory affairs. So I like teamwork a lot, and with Amgen, can I expect some R&D, research and development with other companies when it comes to working on drug products? So some teamwork there, maybe with the fellows from that company as well, working alongside with them on a certain project. Is that a possibility?
I can answer that question. What was surprising to me was to know that Amgen, in fact, does work with other pharmaceutical industry companies. But I don't think that we have the opportunity to work with fellows in that other, in that company. However, we do work alongside fellows in the Rutgers Fellowship Program, but that's pretty much about it. So yeah, just Amgen fellows. But I am able to sit on meetings where we do collaborate with different pharmaceutical companies.
Okay, thank you.
I think maybe
as a private resident, just one thing to add. I just want to mention that the value of being in the room in those kind of meetings are priceless. So definitely appreciate that you guys are getting that exposure, Jessica.
maybe Dr. Olajide, I wanted to just add a comment to Sharon's question, just from a overarching non-proprietary aspect, because recognizing that these companies are individual standalone entities that have proprietary information and function within certain guardrails as well. But for us, a fellowship program, from an Amgen perspective, this is the Howard Fellowship program. We have other fellowship programs as well that those fellows, with, like I think Jessica mentioned, Rutgers, for example, and others as well. That we will be connected to this network as well with other fellows even within Amgen that are from other programs. And then as it grows, we at the point now with this, our network is not connected to others, like let's say the Rutgers, where as part of the Rutgers you have multiple others. So I think maybe this is, you bring up a very good point. It's important for cross-learning with non-proprietary as early as possible at this level, but I don't know if we have that exposure yet. But that's certainly something your question triggered thoughts that we could look into as well, to say how do we maybe take this this insightful question to look at creating other cross sort of intersection points that are non-competitive or non-proprietary to expose, to continue to expose the fellows. Good question.
Thank you again.
And I see one more hand, so if you all don't mind, I'd like Shelby to ask next. Shelby?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Edwards. I am a fourth year student at Xavier University as well. I actually have two questions if I can ask them. I know we're a little bit over time, but my first question is for Dr. Napasso. My question is, which part of the pharmacovigilance process are you currently working on? And I wanted to know if we'll gain experience in each of the processes.
You, Shelby. So yeah, as far as the safety side of things, I'm on like a few different products just because throughout the year there's usually different time points where certain reports are due. So for one of the projects that I've been working on was we recently outsourced one of our processes. So for me, it was basically just take that process that we're giving to the company, do that project as if I was a member of that company, and then turn that project into my preceptor, who was Sarah, and just to determine the temperature of whether or not the information that we would be providing to this company would allow them to complete the project without any issues. But one of the key things that I really enjoyed about these kind of projects are, you work with real life data, you work with patient stories, you work with reportings of adverse side effects that are from real individuals out in the world. So you actually get to see, you get to learn a lot about the product that you're on. So aside from the XGEVA product, I'm on another product. It's called Aimovig, and it's just a signal validation. Essentially, we receive reports of a certain adverse effect or side effect that's occurred, and we're then tasked with looking at literature, looking at those aggregate reports of all those side effects and determining whether they fall into our criteria, and then going into like a team-based meeting with different cross-functional leaders, and then have our story explained to the cross-functional leaders so they can make basically a decision on what the next process is. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to work on a lot of different projects. I have an opportunity to work on some reporting that are before we even get to review it. We have to still take in all those reports, validate them or adjudicate them to make sure they are valid, and then push it forward to another team in order for them to do, further medical review to get more data for it. So there's a lot of different projects you'll be involved in. I think for me, since I just started in July, a lot of the projects that I'm involved in are basically things that will get my feet wet, things that I'll have a lot of time spending with the products that I'm learning. So essentially like a core data sheet, which is the breakdown of every single adverse event, every single signal, every single essentially clinical trial that has gone into making this product marketable. Essentially, I review all of that. I learn what the product is, and then I go to these meetings. I'm assigned a task of whether to review literature or review, outputs that have, a series of adverse effects, and then ultimately present that. So you will have a lot of time to do a lot of different projects. It's just, since that I'm very new, I don't have a specific product that I'm on that I get to see, every single project that comes up. But I actually enjoy this more because sometimes those products don't see every single type of activity that can happen in the last 3 months. So being able to jump from one drug to another, I'm not only learning the products that Amgen is marketing, I'm understanding them, I'm understanding their safety profiles, and I'm also participating with in the team with different members of the Amgen safety team that I'll maybe not be able to interact with if I was only just on one product. So it's a good experience, and I really enjoy it. And I think if you were interested and you apply to it, I think anyone here would really enjoy the type of work that you do just because of the people you work with and ultimately just the results that you're able to produce.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That was very insightful. I have one more question, and this one's for Dr. Rosemary. What is the community culture like at Howard? I know everyone is in separate states, but like how often do y'all get together?
That's a great question. And I was just going to ask you, do you know the whole HUU no mantra?
Of course.
So,
of course.
HU.
You know.
So, when I joined in June, I think my first introduction to the first year fellows and the second year fellows. And, we've started to organize, actually, I wouldn't say started, we've organized into committees. I know that, they have their several group me's. So even being apart, folks are always talking. So we have committees that you can get involved in. You can be a team lead. You can be a lead for the entire fellowship program. So we have 4 now. You get a lot of opportunities to interact that way. This year we are going to mid-year. It's a first presence that we'll have there. We're not doing interviews, but some of the fellows will be able to attend and represent their companies. So that's a great opportunity. So there's a lot still coming, But I would say at this stage, the committees have really helped to get folks kind of involved in different opportunities. And we try to do training depending as needed basis. We get some training done for the fellows. And we'll be planning in the future, like, some touch points that will be a regular one. So lots happening right now. I think everyone really supports each other, regardless of which company they're in, and also regardless of which year they're in. So we try to get those interactions too. Great
Awesome.
question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelby.
I would just add that there has been a lot of informal opportunities for us to get together. Some of my colleagues, especially in regulatory affairs across the Howard University Fellowship, there are certain conferences that we may decide to go to together. So we'll submit the whole process for doing that. And it's a time for us to network professionally with other professionals in our area, but just to hang out with each other and get to know each other. So I would say, even though we all are separate and some of us mainly are working remote, we have definitely been able to kindle a spirit of connectedness within this fellowship program. We all on this call live in different areas, and we can speak to, different things about each other and have fun with each other. So definitely, even though we're apart, we're not just siloed, for sure.
I think what I can add to that great question is that I think you may have heard about the fellows, some of them who attended Amgen's annual mission week. So one thing that we started this year is that few of the fellows came, maybe a certain portion, not all, but we're trying to work on it to make it where it's possible, where everyone is potentially able to be on the Amgen campus during that week as well, and not only connect with their co-fellows, but also other Amgen colleagues, as well as the mission week activities that we're getting the feedback direct from the patients. But such a great question, because we're trying to, the goal here is have this family very well connected and to also have that
Thank you very much. Will, did you have anything to add? I saw that you.
And also, I just wanted to piggyback off of the ability for us to see all the other fellows as well. The first week we were actually fellows. We all met in DC, and we met every single fellow essentially from all the other companies, all the fellows that we would be working with from regulatory affairs, medical affairs. So we had an entire week to build those connections, to not only like pick each other's brain. For example, I spent a lot of time with Arinze and Gabe, just understanding how Amgen works in general, but also, connecting with other fellows who may be in a different company, a different part of the country. So there's a lot of opportunities that Howard sort of puts forward for us to be able to build that network for ourselves. And, if you're able to make the time, you're able to engage with everyone, I think you'll find that it's a very, very good community of preceptors, of professionals, as well as you can really make, genuine good friends out of just the whole experience in general.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Will, thank you for mentioning that. The preceptors are dedicated, doing a lot of good work. So, everybody's efforts is leading to a continued success of this program. And I know that we're at Howard, we're really proud that we have this partnership with Amgen and the support. So, thank you, everyone. And I'll pass it to Vicky, for closing remarks, and Heather and others.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, a huge, huge thank you to everyone. Those that attended today to learn about the program, those that attended today to share their insights about the program. Really, really pleased with this session, and I hope that everyone had their questions answered. There certainly are, our brochure and additional information on these fellowship programs available on the Howard site. I would just say, if you're interested, apply. And if you have further questions, reach out to that email. And certainly if there's any questions that we can help address on the Amgen side with across all of these programs, we're happy to do so. But again, my huge gratitude to everyone who participated today. And thank you, Dr. Olajide, for the partnership as well. the Howard team. Heather, you want to say any remarks?
I couldn't have said it better. That was perfect. Thank you to everybody and to Dr. Elijah Day. It's a pleasure.